So Mom was eating some dog biscuits. I will admit, those look like human cookies.
You thought they were too, right?
Hey, boss man, you unhappy with the progress so far?
Currently.
Anybody listening to this, if you have not been, you got to put it on your list. You've got to go. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Again, it really got under my skin. It really upset me. Probably unreasonably so. This is just something that is a combination of frustrating and potentially dangerous. So... Hi there, folks. I'm Sean the Modern Yeoman, and today's a pretty big day for these chicks. These guys are feathered out now, and the stock tank is no longer of adequate size. It's starting to get a little too small for them, all 7 of these layer chicks. I am actually going to be moving them out into the main run with the other chickens, start integrating them, but you need to be careful with that process. You can't just drop new chicks into an established flock. I actually have a pretty solid method that I've been using for a few years now to introduce new chicks and new birds to the flock, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. First thing I'm going to want to do is just get a ton of hay, or not hay, but straw, really, because that's going to be pretty important in my process. I'm going to be keeping the chicks in this A-frame here with the door shut as a transitional stage, but one of the things I need to do is shore up the gaps at the bottom of the A-frame with straw. So number 1, the chicks won't escape, and number 2, chickens or other critters that are bent on eating them won't get in. Who's that? Hey, boss man, you unhappy with the progress so far?
Currently.
The turkeys are quite taken with this young man.
Yeah.
Well, he's the new boss on this farm, aren't you, pal?
He's happy now.
Good. You guys just walking around?
We're doing our walk.
See ya. The goal at this point is just to get the hay, the straw in place. I'll need to pick up the A-frame regardless to put the stock tank. I'm going to flip it on its side. I just want to get all the straw kind of centered around the edges, so when I do get the chicks in here, I can come in, shut the door, and jam the straw in underneath the gaps. The male turkeys are wanting to start mating, and the female turkeys are letting them. It's all kind of a moot point since we'll be processing them. The day right now that we've decided on, I think, is the 19th, so 2 weekends from now. The last weekend before Thanksgiving is processing day for them. Now that I've got the straw in place, I want to get electricity out to the chicken run. Now comes the fun part, and that is transferring the stock tank to the A-frame, which will be by far the most challenging portion of this endeavor. Before I do that, I've got to move the chicks. They're big. Look how big they've gotten. What I will do is I will lift this,
And I'll slide it underneath.
and you know, it may just be easier to slide it in like that. That's it. Thank you.
You just
Happy to
got
help.
back from a trip, right?
Yeah. So Mom and I went to went to Sedona first
Uh-huh.
in Arizona, and then took the trip up north to the Grand Canyon.
What did you think?
Oh, anybody listening to this, if you have not been, you got to put it on your list. You've got to go. It's a once in a lifetime experience. We loved it. It would have been nice to spend more time out there, but just really grateful for the
So
opportunity.
you
to spend
spent almost a week out there, right?
about 5 days. Yeah.
Worth the trip, right?
Oh, absolutely. Every step of the way. I mean, we flew into Phoenix and then just headed north.
One of these days, Holly and I are going to make it.
Yeah. And maybe take a trip down the trail. Actually, there are quite a few trails down into the canyon itself. It's just breathtaking.
Thank you, Dad. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Not a problem.
So I got the stock tank inside the A-frame, and this is going to be the chicks' home base for the next few weeks till they get completely full grown. This gives them some shelter from the wind and the weather, but first I need to kind of get it in place.
Okay, gang. It's going to be your new home.
Set this up so you guys can see them out. And at this point, I want to be very careful about plugging up the gaps that may have reoccurred after I lifted up the A-frame. So you can see right here, I gotta plug this stuff up and make sure that there's no escape hatches for the little chicks to get through while they get used to their new digs. They're familiar with the stock tank, so they're gonna hang out there for a little while. I'm gonna get their heat lamp, their brooder panel, and get those plugged in and set up, and do a couple more things to tidy up this situation. But the chicks are here, they're in their new home, and it's gonna be their home. And the other chickens are very curious to see the new residence, but like I said, I'm gonna tidy up and get things squared away. Okay, at this point they have a pretty sweet setup. They've got the brooder panel, and we've got the heat lamp shined in a similar spot. So if they want warmth at night, they can go to that spot right there. They've also got their food and their water, but they're still kind of freaked out and huddled up in the corner. So I'm gonna try and gently move them out so they know at least where their water and food is. Here, there's your water. See that? Your turn. See, there's your water. They're just not ready for the big, scary outside world just yet. Maybe I'll put this there and see what happens if they start working towards it. And put this here. So I'm gonna keep these gals in there for maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 months, but they're gonna stay in this A-frame, get used to life out here with the flock. They'll be very close to the flock. They'll interact with these birds. And once a month or maybe 2 months passes, they'll be familiar enough with the flock and life out here that I will open the door and let them out so they can mingle with the other birds. What I'm going to talk about next isn't something I normally talk about on this channel. I rarely delve into topics like this. This isn't a product review channel. This isn't a channel that's focused on negative things. I had something happen to me recently that really bugged me. Really got under my skin, and I realized, man, I've got a couple thousand people that watch my videos every week, and I feel compelled to tell people about this and warn them so it doesn't happen to them. Again, it really got under my skin. It really upset me. Probably unreasonably so. But regardless, here it goes. When we bought the house 2 years ago now, we got a new round of fire alarms for the house. The ones that were in the house, I think they're still working, but we just wanted to get new ones. So we bought some. And I bought this one at Lowe's. It looks like it's First Alert. And I'm not calling out this company by any means. It's just something, maybe I should have paid better attention, and maybe that's the industry standard now. But I was under the impression when you bought a fire alarm that you could change the batteries once it ran out. Well, I just discovered this thing started beeping 2 days ago, and I pulled it off the wall and figured, okay, it needs new batteries. Turns out you can't replace batteries on this thing. It's planned obsolescence. You cannot, it even says it on the thing. Horn chipping approximately once per minute indicates low battery, replace alarm. I looked around on this thing to see where I could replace the batteries on it. Apparently you can. Now, again, maybe this is a new thing. I remember throughout most of my life, whenever there's a low battery on a fire alarm, you can open it up, change the battery out, voila. That's good because it's unsafe to have a house that doesn't have a working fire alarm at any given time. And we actually have like 2 or 3 in the house, but the point remains. I was unaware that this thing, once it's done, once the batteries run out, you just have to buy a whole new fire alarm. And I think they're like $30 or something. They're not cheap. So, like I said, this isn't a negative channel, this isn't a product review channel, but it irked me sufficiently enough to where I thought I'd call it out. And if people watching, if you're like, yeah, Sean, once a fire alarm goes dead, you just need to buy a new fire alarm. There's no such thing as changing out the batteries. If that's the new thing now, and I've lost it or I forgot about it, please let me know. But I was always under the impression that once the batteries run out on your fire alarm, you just simply switch the batteries, put it back on your wall or your ceiling, and you're good to go. Not the case. Maybe it's the brand, maybe it was listed clearly on the packaging, I don't know. But we currently don't have a fire alarm in that room, and we need to get one. I'm gonna go out and get one here soon, but there's been a day or two that's passed where I had no fire alarm in that room, simply because you cannot change the batteries on this thing. I mean, right? Don't worry, this isn't going to be a channel about me complaining about technology like an old man. This is just something that is a combination of frustrating and potentially dangerous. So all of you folks that are out there in the market for fire alarms, make sure you check that you can actually change the batteries, because apparently you can't on some models. This is First Alert. I don't know what other models there are out there. I'm not calling you out, guys, but it's frustrating. I really wish I could change the batteries on this thing. Again, I should have looked at the package closer. I'm not sure. Maybe it was clearly noted there, but I'll know better for next time that if I have to spend a little bit extra to get a fire alarm that has replaceable batteries, then I'll do so. Anyways, I felt compelled to tell people, if you're buying a fire alarm, make sure to check that you can change the batteries, because in a lot of ones, you can't. So check that out next time you're in the market for a fire alarm. So I'm getting ready to feed the pigs, and Mom comes, shows me some cookies that she purchased and that you started eating, right?
They were on sale because they were in the Halloween and fall stuff for 75% off, and I'm like, these are perfect. I'm gonna buy like 7 packs.
And they look attractive. They're
And they
attractive
do.
looking Thanksgiving cookies, right?
Yes. And they got pumpkins and pumpkin pie
Yeah.
and like a hot cocoa.
Very nice.
They are.
But then you take a so you took a bite, right? You tried them out.
I did.
What did you think?
They're very good but very hard. I couldn't bite into them.
Come to find out, she takes a closer look. Apple cinnamon flavored dog treats. So Mom was eating some dog biscuits.
Why would anybody make dog biscuits that look that pretty?
I will admit, those look like human cookies.
You thought they were too, right? So I bought 21 actual cookies because they were on sale, and I was going to stick them in the freezer for Thanksgiving dinner, and that's what me and your dad were going to bring over for contribution for Thanksgiving dinner. And I thought, everybody's going to go, wow, Margaret, you made the most beautiful cookies.
Turns out, they're dog cookies. The pigs will enjoy them. Thank you, Mom. Thanks for hanging out with us today, my friends. And until we see you here again on the Yosted, remember, as always, slowly, slowly.